So we're here with another episode of Saturn Stories with Erin Shetron. Erin is a former startup boss turned newsletter strategist. With her signature combination of big brain, soft soul, she works with writers and entrepreneurs to help them produce their best, most aligned, most alive work yet. In her downtime, Erin enjoys walking her elderly scruff puppy, reading fantasy and memoir, dreaming up new visions for the feminine economy, and espousing the benefits of radical, loving honesty, which I
Mhm.
love. She's also a fellow Cancer rising who I think brings so much heart and feeling into everything she puts out into the world, just as someone who's like on this side of things. So, welcome, Erin.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to be having this conversation with you. I'm excited to talk all about Saturn and how it's shown up for you, especially as someone with a Saturn placement. So Capricorn is actually ruled by Saturn. So you kind of have
Mm.
like this double Saturnian, Capricornian like energy about you, but it does show up in a very unique way, especially like we were talking right before we
No one's
hit
ever said
record.
this to me. I'm like, what does
Oh
this mean?
my gosh. Yeah, because you do have a lot of that responsibility, like that responsible part of you, but it comes through,
Mhm.
especially with the Cancer rising and the water in your chart, in a very like soft and sensitive and like human way. I think
Mhm.
sometimes Saturn can feel very robotic and methodical and masculine, even though Earth is like a feminine sign. I think
Mhm.
like sometimes it can feel very hard and cold. But I think like you do a very beautiful, like you have a beautiful way of softening it.
I've never heard that before, but yeah, cool. It sounds good.
Awesome. So, just to talk a little bit about what Saturn actually is and what it represents for those listening, Saturn is the timekeeper. Like I said, it's very responsible, it's very practical, methodical. It's the part of us that matures over time. So, oftentimes, our own Saturn placement isn't always easy to us. It's usually where we bump up a little bit against life or we find these challenges that we then need to overcome. It can be really hard. It's like these are kind of those big lesson moments in our lives where we are pulled forward and like called to take responsibility. And it's often referred to by many astrologers as the biggest lesson in our lifetime. So, like our life
Wow.
lesson, it's that just that thing that keeps coming around and we can't really avoid it because Saturn is also the timekeeper and he's like always on time and he's showing up at our door during the Saturn cycle, which is every 7 years. So, it's kind of like that 7 year itch. It's that time of recommitment, realignment to our goal. And just making sure that we're on the right path.
And the dates that you sent me are making more sense now. Even
Really?
just from hearing that, I'm like, oh boy, did I learn some lessons in those years.
I'm so excited to hear about these lessons. They really are like very influential. I would imagine, like, even just as you're thinking now, would you say that these are some of like the most pivotal moments in your life? Do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So for you, Erin, your
Mhm.
Saturn placement is in Capricorn in the seventh house. So Capricorn is an earth sign. So on a broader spectrum, you're really here to learn earthly things. So, and looking at your chart too, you have some earth, like with your sun and Mercury in Taurus, and
Mhm.
also like Neptune and Uranus in Capricorn. That's a generational thing. So a lot of people
Right.
around these ages will have Uranus and Neptune and Capricorn. So we're kind of like revisioning traditions. Like we're not doing things in the traditional way that maybe our parents
Mm.
and our ancestors have done. But for you, you're really here to learn like practicality, how to make a plan, how to stick to a plan, how to like create something out of nothing, basically, and how to like keep consistent also or like keep discipline towards the dream that you have. So I wonder from your perspective, like have has that been challenging for you to kind of embody those earth qualities of like discipline or like keeping on track with something, or do those things come quite easy to you?
I think it's a little bit of both. For me, I feel so like my sun in Taurus is such a big part of who I am. I feel very grounded. I feel very, but sometimes it's like I'm too grounded and I am prone to getting stuck
Mm,
and that stuckness gets me off course. So like some of what you said about sticking to a plan and sticking with discipline big challenges in my life because even though I feel that I'm a practical person and I'm really good at helping other people stick to a plan, for
yeah.
myself, if like the dopamine isn't releasing anymore, I abandon ship basically, which
Yeah.
I've always attributed to ADHD, well, at least in the last few years since I got diagnosed. But you saying it, I'm like, oh, that's so interesting because that is that like discipline part. I think a lot of us right now are rethinking what discipline means. Like, how can we be lovingly disciplined? And that is
Hmm.
definitely something that I'm like, as I hear more about it, I'm like grasping on to tidbits and like just keeping them for myself because I recognize that in myself is yeah, it's like an internal struggle to stay on a specific track.
Hmm. Yeah, and to your point too, like at the opposite end of the spectrum, it can be, and I don't know if this is how it shows up for you, but like with Saturn and Capricorn, there is this like need for excellence, or your standards could be quite high as well, where it's like, and the
Yeah.
standards that you put place on yourself, where some people with Saturn in Capricorn may have this like dream or this goal, but then it's like, okay, I'm not living up to that potential. And then it's
Hmm.
like, that's when maybe self-sabotage or things can come in where it's like, okay, if I'm not like producing this to the quality that I want it to be, which is like, it's never going to be perfect, I think is a big lesson
Yeah.
as well, where it's like, I just need to keep like putting one foot in front of the other, even if it's not like what I expect that it was going to look like. I wonder.
That's such a big part of it. The like earthly, like here to learn about like humans and humans on Earth. I definitely feel like that gives me an edge in some areas and I struggle in others. Like the edge is I feel like I have good taste or whatever that even means, right? But I'm like able to, I don't know, what am I trying to say? Like something about like beauty and aesthetics and the way that things sound. Like I'm able yeah, it's like I feel like Ezra Klein talked about this, like the gap between like your ability and your taste. And if my ability is falling short of my taste, which it will always do, right? Especially
Mhm.
when you're new at something, then yeah, I think that's just a really big deterrent for me.
Oh my gosh, I love that way of thinking of it, like just the gap. Wow,
Totally.
yeah.
And whenever you're starting something new, of course, you're going to have like these lofty ideas and like I mean, it's great to recognize when something is great, but it stings when you can't produce that greatness immediately.
Yeah, it's like, and that's one thing about Capricorn too, and Saturn as well, is like it takes time. It's like that
Mhm.
slow burn. And it's like, it's so frustrating when it's just not excellent at the beginning because there
Yeah.
really is this like, it's almost like the blood, sweat, and tears that has to go into making this thing. And like, it's
Yeah.
not going to be easy. And I think that's a lesson for a lot of people with heavy earth, where it's like, it is just
Mm,
that like showing up every day, even when it's hard, as long as
mhm.
it's something that you want to do, right? Because I
Right.
think
As long as it's
sometimes,
aligned. Yeah.
yeah, I think sometimes like that Capricorn energy can like it is very traditional. And I think
Mhm.
sometimes it's easy to get caught up in other people's idea of success too.
Mm,
So it's important to define success in your eyes. So I wonder
yeah.
if like you've had experiences of that where maybe you were on a track and then it was like, wait, where am I going with this? Or like, why am I striving for this thing that maybe I don't even want? Have you experienced any of that?
Yeah. I think that my falling out with my startup really happened in 2020. It coincided with COVID, it coincided with George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement. It really, that was a big lesson for me in basically my inability to do things that were so far out of alignment. And
Mm.
that was a more, I guess, traditionally successful path. I was young, I was a director of marketing, I had my own team, I was making more money than my parents ever made. I was really like, and I was sick over it. I was really like, this isn't my path. The founders of the startup and I didn't, we weren't seeing eye to eye anymore. I didn't feel like they were treating the team well. Just it became more and more clear. And it's funny that you picked 2020 because that was such a year for everybody.
Yeah.
But for me, the lesson of that year was yeah, it was basically moving away from this like traditionally successful path that I felt really proud of and that I did love, but I fell so swiftly out of love with it because it was so out of like moral alignment. And I realized that I just couldn't do it anymore. I ended up actually leaving that job the following year, but all of 2020 was like me reckoning with that.
Wow. That is insane. And that is, like you said, that's one of the dates, and that was actually the date of your Saturn return. So this is,
Really?
yeah. So that was your like come like full circle moment of the reckoning. Like you said, it's just
Yeah.
like, I just cannot do this anymore. And you were saying too, like it was making you sick. Like, did you feel it physically in your body?
Yeah, there was some other reckonings that took place that year. Yeah, well, I felt it in my body for sure. I was drinking more than ever, which I think everyone can probably say during 2020 if they weren't sober already. 2020
Yeah.
was probably the year that they were like, maybe I should be sober because
Yeah.
this is a lot. That was the year that I read Holly Whitaker's book, Quit Like a Woman, and started thinking more deeply about my use of
Mm.
alcohol. And it was also a year that I was in a relationship that I thought he was the love of my life, but it was actually sort of like emotionally, I don't want to say abusive because that kind of means something different, but it just was not right. That was another thing that was like out of alignment that I had
Mm.
gone all in on. I really like my startup. I really like thought it was one thing and it turned out to be something really, really different.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so all those things were showing up in my body, definitely. I was like feeling so off. I was feeling so out of attunement with myself. Yeah, everything got kind of messed up, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to your point too, like just the use of alcohol too. And I think like people with Capricorn placements and Saturn and Capricorn specifically too, there is this tendency to like, if things are feeling a little bit uncomfortable, it's like that can be one way to numb the
Yeah.
feelings of what's actually going on. It's like, okay, it's harder to really look at it as it is. And it's like, is this life serving me? Like this life that I've created up until this point, like the startup, the relationship,
Yeah.
or do I kind of remove my emotions from it in these ways that might not be so healthy for my body just to like get through it, right?
I think that that's what I was doing because I mean, in my chart, there's so much water, and I think, like a really deeply feeling, sensitive person, and I haven't always known what to do with that. And so a lot of, I think, like the drinking or like the numbing out, which I still struggle with numbing out and I explore it in Frequent Criers Club. I feel like that's, yeah, the whole base for that newsletter because I still don't quite know, even though I've quit drinking. It's like I just find other things to numb out. But anyway, all that water, it's like so much sensitivity. And I really think during 2020, I mean, so much was going on which is crazy to say because in 2025 there's somehow even more going on. Like
Yeah. Who
somehow
knew?
has only gotten way worse. But at the time, it felt unprecedented to use the word of the year.
Right?
Um, and yeah, I was definitely like, how about I have fewer or maybe more muted emotions about everything that's happening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, just that sensitivity of the water in your chart, I think it is just really hard to be a sensitive human in the world, even today.
Yeah.
And
Especially today, especially in
especially today.
2020, it only is getting harder for us.
Yeah. And I think that's where like the importance of just that, like not only, and not to say that sobriety is important, although it is very important for a lot of people, but like for people who are sober, just the emotional
Yeah.
sobriety piece that comes after, it's like sometimes we
Yeah.
think that putting down the alcohol or like whatever we're using is the easy part, but it's like,
Yeah.
oh shit.
I know.
Or we think that's the hard part, sorry. And then it's like, oh shit, like the hard stuff kind of comes after where it's like,
Yeah.
what do I do with all of these feelings now?
So many feelings, Caitlin.
Yeah, so
So
many
many
feelings.
feelings. Yeah. So real.
But just to bring in also, you touched on the relationship that you were in during that
Mm.
time too. And with your Saturn in the seventh house, and this would have also been the Saturn return, like coming back to where your natal Saturn was at the time you were born. So it was back in Capricorn, back in the seventh house. So the seventh house is the
Oh,
house of
I just got
relationships.
chills.
So
Uh-huh.
the big lesson here with like Saturn in the seventh house, and when this was coming back around for you in 2020, is like, where am I putting responsibility in other people's hands of those who
Mm,
maybe can't hold that responsibility? And part of your lesson with Saturn in the seventh house is like learning to take responsibility for your own self and your own happiness first. And also like bringing back the excellence piece. It's like not accepting less than or like falling in love with potential or
mm,
partnering with potential, whether it's romantic relationships or like business relationships, any one-to-one
mhm,
relationship. It's like it can be quite easy to fall in love with the potential where it's like, okay, I can see that this person or this thing could maybe hold me at some point, but learning your values around partnerships and like instead of taking on all of the responsibility for yourself. So, like having people in your corner that you can rely on who kind of hold you up or at least hold like their side of the stuff up. So you're not like trying to pull these people up the mountain.
mhm.
I don't know if that's kind of what it felt like, or if in your own words, like what it was kind of like for you, or if that resonates at all.
It does. I really got chills when you were talking about how Saturn return is I mean you said it better, but it's like returning to the place where it was when I was born
Mm-hmm.
because that relationship, the person that I was with, reminded me so much of my early childhood. It reminded me
Mm-hmm.
so much of home. And I think I mistook that for a while as like we were sort of like meant to do this life together. It felt so like I knew him for a whole lifetime before we had ever met, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what it ultimately felt like was what you said, a lesson in differentiating myself from another person and becoming sort of radically responsible for myself, which I thought that I had been ready to do when I entered that relationship because I had sort of already like learned that lesson. But I had to relearn it in this way that was like so deeply connected to my mother, and my early childhood. So yeah, it's just crazy because that period of time, that relationship was like one of the hardest things I have been through because this was someone who was constantly trying to make me responsible for
Mm.
everything, even their stuff. And that is something that I felt growing up, that I was like deeply responsible for my mother's emotions and moods, And I remember thinking, okay, I've already learned this lesson. I know what to do. I'm going to differentiate, like, I'm going to hold boundaries. And then I just had to learn that, like, it doesn't really matter how healed I am. I'm clearly still putting myself in the situation with someone who has like refused to be in my shared, in like a shared reality with me and is
Mm.
refusing to take any responsibility for themselves. And so, like, even if I'm aware of it, if they're gonna like continue to project all the responsibility onto me, that will never be a safe place for me. Like awareness almost didn't solve the problem. The big lesson was actually just finally extracting myself from that situation without needing them to agree on a reality, like a shared reality with me. Like
Mm.
they didn't get it, they never got it. They were never going to be like, "Oh, you're right. I've been doing this thing." And that's like, that was like a huge life lesson is like, I have to know it and I have to like take responsibility for myself and get myself out of this situation and not wait for us to like come to some agreement and like peacefully part from each other. It was like, no, I just had to fucking leave, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like that's now I got chills. It's just like
It was
it's
kind of
that
long-winded, sorry.
no, it was perfect. Love hearing about it because like you touched on some very important things, like especially with early childhood relationships. And like I know early childhood relationships often inform our relationships as an adult,
Hmm.
but especially for Capricorn and Saturn and Capricorn, because Saturn in Capricorn is like you have a lot of responsibilities when you're young. A teacher that I
Hmm.
had, Deborah Silverman, she always says it's like you feel old when you're young and young when you're old. It's like this sort of
Yeah.
Benjamin Button kind of experience where when you're
Yeah.
young, you just have so many responsibilities and like maybe you don't have the space to be a child or to feel your own emotions too. Like
Mm.
as that sensitive Cancer rising, I would imagine you would have had to kind of build a shell around you to like be able to handle your mom's emotions and just like walk
Yeah.
around the situation like when you were young and then like in that relationship as well. I wonder if you felt that. Like, did you feel like now when I look at you, I feel your sensitivity. I see your like softness, but I would imagine that in that relationship, like a lot of that probably didn't come out. Would you say that you were kind of in that position of being maybe even a parent to the partner?
I think I definitely felt somewhat parentified. Mostly I felt villainized. I felt like just the bad, like the chronically a bad guy. I don't know. I mean, something as simple as like just talk about a disagreement after the fact
Mm,
and be like, this is what I could have done different. And I wish that things would have gone different on your end. And
yeah.
all that I got back was that they would have been different if I was different. You know, everything like fell back to
It fell
me.
on you.
Yeah, right. So
Mm,
I definitely was like, yeah, again, it's like I knew it was happening, and yet I was still trying to make it work, which maybe was its own form of responsibility taking that, yeah, even when I knew he was putting too much responsibility on me, I somehow was still taking that and turning it into like, well, I can be responsible enough to fix this error that you're making, you know?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that because that's like
Mhm.
a common Capricorn thing. Like, even if anyone's listening who has heavy Capricorn placements, like even Capricorn suns or like rising, anything, that's heavy Capricorn in the chart. It's like sometimes we take responsibility for things that aren't actually ours to be responsible for. And I think
Yeah.
with Capricorn, it's like we can very easily be climbing the wrong mountain. It's like,
Yes.
okay, I'm just gonna work harder and like do these things and then it'll all work out. But then it's like I'm exhausting myself because I'm like carrying this loser up the mountain with me.
Yeah.
And then it's like it's
Yes. Thank
hard
you for that
work.
visual. I think, especially because I really love the idea of shedding and him just tumbling down the mountain.
And then him not knowing how to walk on his own. It's like he can't even get up the mountain with you because it's
Yeah.
like I've just been doing all the legwork and now
Yeah.
I think that's really an important lesson for Saturn and Capricorn, where it's just like, okay,
Mm,
I can be responsible for myself and only
yeah.
myself. And especially with Capricorn in the seventh house, like because situations like that can easily harden us even more, where it's like, okay,
Mhm.
now I don't trust anyone to hold me because there's this evidence that possibly I can't be held, or like, I don't deserve this. I'm not worthy of it. But looking for people who already hold the qualities of stability, of maturity, of like being able to take accountability, of like even punctuality. I had an astrologer tell me this at one point where it's like if you go on a date with someone and they show up late, like really take that into account. It's like
Yeah.
it can be something seemingly simple, but I think like it could also be a thing that could be a problem in the future for someone with Capricorn in the seventh
Whoa.
house, where it's just like
Yeah.
you need to choose people who are kind of like at that level of being able to hold
Yeah.
their own stuff so that they can also like it just works better.
Totally. Yes. Yeah. When you were first talking about, well, everything that you just said, I was like starting to sweat. I was like, oh my God, this is like what my whole life has been about.
Oh my
My entire life has been about like not only like differentiating between like other people's stuff and my stuff, but always feeling like my stuff is like too heavy for anybody else to hold and sort of just like
Yeah.
looking around and being like, I guess nobody's gonna be able to help me with this ever. And feeling
Yeah.
like that hardened shell start to come and feel a bit like jaded and bitter. Like I guess I'll just do this shit alone forever. Like
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
I'll just do it all myself. And I think that's something that can come up too, where it's just like I can do it myself because nobody can hold it. Or it's like I can
Hmm.
do it myself because nobody can do it at the level that I'm like expecting also.
Yeah, both and
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
I think like the ability to learn to trust other people is it kind of lies in like our own like we have the power to choose, right? We have the
Hmm.
power to like see these qualities in people and really like honor them and witness them and also like not choose anything less than maybe what it is and seeing it for what it is. I think with Earth too, there's this like ability to see things as they are
Yeah.
and to accept things as they are. It can be really hard and it can be scary too. It can also be scary to kind of hand over a little bit of the responsibility too. Like, do you find
Mm.
that difficult?
I think when I was more in the place of feeling very like worried about being lovable, or being like if anyone would care enough about me to sort of help shoulder some of my stuff, or, just feeling like too much, too heavy, I wasn't going to get met. I think that is when I have felt the most like it's hard to trust anybody.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I think when I am in a healthier relationship, it feels really good. It feels like a growth edge for me to be able to give up more control and give up. Yeah, it feels actually like a really welcome change. I can't say it comes like totally naturally, which is maybe what you're getting at. Like I do think that there's some part of it that feels maybe new or challenging, but it feels like I can feel that it is like healthy challenge. It's like a thing that's difficult, but that feels like growth.
Yeah. For those listening, when we have planets in the seventh house, those are things that, like the seventh house and the rising sign, work very like in tandem. It's like our rising
Mm,
sign cannot live to its highest expression if the descendant, so the seventh house, is like at the lower expression. So when you're taking responsibility, when everything's on your shoulders, and when
mm,
you're the one who has to like be mature and like take care of everything, your Cancer rising is like wilted up and like withered up, if we can put a visual to it.
And isn't it's also like I can be nourished and I can be nurtured. And it also feels like, oh, now I can really be nourishing and I can be
Mm,
nurturing in a like a healthy, freely given way, not in like I have to do this for you way. It's like I feel like Cancer risings can very easily be like mean mommy.
yep.
And and it's like so beautiful to yeah, to have this different expression of it of like, oh, actually now I feel more generous with my
Hmm.
energy, like because I feel really taken care of and like I've I feel more trusting, and so now I can like give in a more healthy way.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's not like I'm giving it because I need to or I feel like I have to because nobody
Right.
else is going to do it. It's like I'm
Right. Right. It's
giving
not from
because,
scarcity. Yeah.
yeah, it's because like, oh, I'm so filled up that now I have this overflow where it's just like I need to give
Hmm.
some of this away because I'm just like
Yeah.
flowing over with this feeling of like fullness.
Yeah. Totally.
Not only in your relationships are you able to give, but also like bringing it back to your Saturn and Capricorn. It's like your purpose, like the thing that you're building in your own personal relationship too, like with your own personal relationship to like your idea of success and how you're
Mm,
contributing to the world, because Capricorn is very much like it wants to contribute to the world. It wants to make the world a better place. And then like with this
yes.
overflow, then you're able to funnel that into different areas of your life. So whether it's your career or your relationships or like whatever it is, then you're able to like provide that excellence in that area of your life and also probably be a little bit kinder to yourself in the process too, because I think
Yeah.
sometimes Capricorn can be hard on itself, where it's like I know we
Mm,
talked about before, just like that, like the gap as well, like you were saying, we
yes.
can be hard on ourselves when we're not like where we think we should be. So I think
Yeah.
like when you're feeling nurtured and nourished, you're maybe able to like give yourself a little bit more self-compassion as you climb the mountain, that whatever mountain that you're climbing.
Yeah, the right mountain,
Yeah,
not the
the
other
right
one
mountain.
with
Yeah.
with that freaking jerk. Yeah. Who I let tumble down the side and then I paraglided to the next mountain and climbed that one without
Bye.
him.
He's probably still on that mountain.
Yeah, whatever. He can live on that mountain. Um, yeah. Yeah, I think I feel like that's true. That as things started to shift. I mean, things started to really shift in 2020. Like I was having like a big reckoning, but it took a little longer, it took longer for you said something about how like earth placement, like it takes a long time.
Yeah,
It
it's
did. It took a long time. Took a few years, but shedding that job, shedding that relationship, I feel like starting to work with Alex DeBranco and like getting into this thing that I'm in now, working with writers on their newsletters and like pulling in some strategy and doing some editing and things in my personal life and professional life really started shifting for the better within 6 months of each other, um,
mm.
which felt so cool. And it still feels so cool. Like I'm 3 years into that happening, and I'm still like, whoa, is this really happening? Like
Was that in 2022? You said 3 years ago, 2022 or 21?
January of 2023 is when I met Alex, and
Mm.
my life exploded, and I basically had a new job within 6 months of meeting Alex.
That's very cool. And I know
Yeah.
this isn't Saturn, but I am looking at your chart, and this was when Neptune crossed over your midheaven, which is like the career point. Um,
Whoa.
so it's very interesting, and it's very like Neptune is very a little mysterious in the way that it works. It kind of
Mm.
dissolves things away. So were you still with the startup at this point, or had you already left?
No, I had already left,
Yeah.
and I was chilling. I was
Yeah.
like, I hope I get a job soon. I was like really trying to get other marketing director roles because I really wanted a team again. And there were just so many times where I was like, I'm being rejected from this world. Like,
Mm.
I cannot get a job to save my life, which was kind of weird because I had this good experience. I had lots of good sort of like important roles in this like specific world. I was like, why aren't I getting like snatched up? What's happening? Is it just the economy? Is it just blah blah blah? But I really was having like a big crisis of confidence because the universe I felt like was like, these doors are closed, bitch. Look somewhere
Yeah.
else.
Look
Like,
that way.
look like
So these
so
were like
yeah.
roles that were similar to the one that you were in before. You were kind of trying to
Yes.
like get back into that
Yeah,
world.
I was trying my damnedest to get back in. I was like, let me back
Let me
in.
in.
I can do this. I literally was just doing this. I can do it again. Like, let's go. Let's run it. I was like
Dude.
ready for that.
That's so
Yeah.
crazy. It's like that was part of it sounds like it was part of like the after effects of that lesson of like, okay, my body can't handle this. I'm doing things that I don't want to do, but my
Yeah.
Saturn Capricorn tenacity and like that earth
Yes.
in me is like, I can do this. I will
Yes.
do this at any cost
I'll just do it for a different company and then it'll be
and it'll be
better, right?
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, nothing was working out. And then I took this job with Alex, just thinking like, you know what? This will be like a fun, creative thing. It will like pay for half my bills. I was like, whatever, it's just a little bit of money. And that's great because I was like living off my savings. So I was like, that's great. And then, yeah, it just became this big thing. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God. Because this is way better than what I was trying to do. Like, my dumbass
Yeah.
was like still knocking on doors to startups and like these stupid companies.
Meanwhile,
And
there's this like bright white light over
yes,
here, like,
there's like a
oh.
totally different thing just like waiting for me. So, yeah, it's so crazy how that happened.
God, I actually love that you brought it up because like Neptune crossing over the midheaven and like after that Saturn return point that you
Yeah.
had where it's like, okay,
It
this
like
thing
teed
didn't
it
work
up for
out.
me.
Yeah,
The
it's like
Saturn
here it
return was like,
is.
here's the lesson.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
here's that thing that you actually want that you don't know that you want yet, but it's actually better
Mhm.
for you for your like probably mental health, spiritual health, like all of the
Everything.
healths.
Yes, all the
It's
health.
all the health. It's like
Much
here it
health.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I love it so much. It's like, and there is this, I know we're talking about Saturn, but I kind of want to talk about Neptune too, because like this was influential for you, where like the old career life kind of dissolves away. It can feel a little
Yeah.
bit like foggy. Neptune is often feeling foggy or a little bit confusing. It's like, why am I
Mm.
doing this? Or like it's very intuitive as well, where it's like, okay, like you said, maybe I'll just do this for creativity purpose and just like have a little bit of fun. Maybe it won't
Yeah.
make a lot of money. Where Saturn's like, it needs to make money. And then Neptune is
Yes.
like, but it can be fun and creative and like fill you in other ways.
Yeah. That is exactly what was happening. Yeah.
And then turns out, like, how would you say that I know you kind of touched on it, but like that experience meeting Alex and just everything, you said your life kind of exploded. Like, what has that looked like
Yeah.
since?
It's funny because during this conversation, I am sort of in the middle, and we've talked about this a little bit, of I think I have been exploring this career path for almost 3 years, about two and a half-ish years now. And I'm feeling really ready to like legitimize it a little bit more, grow it, I'm really kind of ready to like fully embody it and embrace it. But yeah, it just I when it exploded with Alex, it was like he had mentioned me to a friend, and then I started working with that friend too. And I just sort of I think word just like spread. And also the time was right because Substack happened to be a really wonderful platform at that point. It was like before the advent of notes. It's just like this sweet spot that I ended up coming onto the platform to help writers.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just really beautiful because I had gone through this whole season of like severely just a severe crisis of confidence, like so depressed, so confused about why I couldn't get a job, like feeling extremely like rejected by everything and everyone, to now feeling like, oh, I don't even have to fucking try. Like it's just happening. It's just I'm just I'm putting in my authentic self and I'm getting out more clients, more financial security, to the point where I just thought like, oh, this is just gonna like help cover like my credit card bill because I was like in
Yeah.
debt. And it was like, oh, all of a sudden I could cover half my bills. All of a sudden I could actually live on this, and it all happened like really quickly and without me having to do anything. I didn't have to like buy an ad. I didn't have to like promote myself. It was just word of mouth and it just spread. And that happened for, I mean, it's still happening. I'm still like 100% of just a referral little business over here. And now finally, I'm like, maybe I should make this into like a real thing, And not to say it hasn't been a real thing, but I think I'm like fully accepting it. It's taken me a minute to be like, oh, it's okay. It's safe for me to like inhabit this space. Because it felt like too good to be true for a long time. I kept waiting for
Mm,
the other shoe to drop for literally this whole time.
mm.
And just now I'm like, okay, maybe I am good at this and it's here to stay and I can just get comfy here.
Yeah. I think that's such a testament to like being on the right mountain too, right?
Right. It's
Where
not
it's
so
just like,
hard.
yeah, like you said, it's just like there's this ease around it. There's this
Hmm.
excitement around it. It's not like, oh my gosh, like I'm feeling so heavy. It's like, okay, I can bring in that sense of like discipline and like
Hmm.
devotion almost. It feels like it's
Yeah.
kind of like switched that energy where it's just like
Yeah.
I'm devoted to this thing. It lights me up. I'm helping other people. It's
Yeah.
fun. It's creative, like all of these
Yes.
things. And it
Totally.
doesn't have to be hard. And people are getting so much value out of it, right? It's like people are
Yeah.
talking about it.
Yeah. It felt very much like I had this career in marketing that was a little, I don't know. I kept wanting for it to be like not slimy, but I think it kind of was, which is why I ultimately left. And now it's like I'm in this position to like use my powers for good. And I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, this feels so good.
I love it.
Yeah.
And just to touch on that too, so like back in 2022 when Neptune was
Hmm.
going over your midheaven, and now I know we've talked about this a little bit, but Saturn has gone over your midheaven now. So Saturn
Oh.
is like in your 10th house of career. So it feels like when Neptune went over in 2022, it kind of just happened. And now,
Hmm.
like you're saying, you're like taking it more seriously. It sounds like we're okay, now I'm
Mm.
putting
I'm
things
bringing
in
that
place.
Saturn energy to it now.
Yes, exactly. First it was Neptune, like whimsy creative, and now it's like, oh, this can
Right.
actually be something, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
like make it something and like solidify it and just like put it into like here it is, right? It's
Yeah.
tangible, you can touch it,
Hmm. Dang, it's almost like astrology is real or something. I
right?
don't
Like,
get
what?
it. So crazy.
If you think about Erin in 2020 and like thinking about where you are now, is there anything that you would say to her?
Are you trying to get a Cancer rising to cry on your
We'll just like both be sobbing by the end of this.
One thing that I would definitely say, which is it's something that I said earlier on this call, but I do think it's worth mentioning for anyone else out there who finds themselves in this position, that you might be the most aware person of your situation. You might know exactly all the ways that it is unhealthy and not working for you, and perhaps even re traumatizing and triggering and just deeply upsetting. And you might think that you being on top of it with all that awareness is the thing that's going to keep you safe. But it's not. The thing that's going to keep you safe is taking action And I think that like stuckness for me is like anti-action, and I had to really learn the hard way that action is really beautiful and it might be really hard, but taking aware action, like turning that awareness and transforming it into action is the best way to protect yourself, to live authentically, to make the life that you want. It's not going to be spinning your wheels up on your high horse of like, I'm so healed and aware, but I'm going to keep myself in this shitty situation. It's not that. It's getting out of the situation. And I don't mean that in a like, if it doesn't serve you, leave it way, because I don't actually believe in that messaging. I don't think that everything has to serve you, but I do think that when it's time to go, your awareness isn't going to save you. It's the action that comes with it.
Oof. Gosh, thanks for that.
Sure, yeah. That's what I'd say
Yeah,
to myself in 2020.
I love it. Gosh, I feel like that's it. Like
Yeah,
that's we're done here. Like that was
it's a
just
wrap.
yeah. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to share?
I think I just want to thank you. We have gotten to know each other a little bit through our Substacks and through some work together and through, me taking your workshops, your new moon workshops, which I famously are my favorite,
I
and I
love
can't
you.
shut up about them. Um, and I just think that this is such a beautiful thing that you're doing, and I didn't know what to expect from this conversation, but it's been so delightful. I just feel so seen. And yeah, astrology is just one of those things that I keep coming back to, even though I'm such a natural skeptic of literally everything. And you have such a gift. And I just really love doing this with you. And I just want to thank you. This is like extremely special for me.
Oh, thank you too, Erin. Thank you so much. And I do want to say, like, God, I'm just so happy that I have found you and your work too. And I found you through word of mouth as well, just to like put that point in there, like to what you were talking about, how just like people are talking about what you're doing as well. And I want to say that if anyone does get the opportunity to work with Erin in any capacity, like you're doing yourself a very big favor because just like the just like the amount of value that you provide and in a way that is human and just heart-centered and it just it feels really good to be in your space as well and just like being held by you in a way that isn't icky like you were talking about with your marketing career where it did feel icky. It just like it doesn't feel that way with your work and like with your newsletter as well. It's just like I'm really grateful to be connected with you and to have found your work.
Thank you so much. That was the hardest part of the whole
Just
hour.
like receiving that.
We
That's
can get in
okay.
that in episode two.
Yeah.
But
Subscribe for
truly,
more.
yeah, subscribe for more. Watch as Caitlin unpacks that about Erin. No, truly, thank you. That's so generous and lovely. Yay, I
Mhm.
love a love fest.
Yeah, me too. Oh my gosh, this was so fun.
It was great. Thank you.
Thank you.